This is the Microschool Minute, your weekly dose of microschooling news and events.
In this week's edition of the Microschool Minute. On the first day of September, Governor Greg Abbott announced a series of new, wide-ranging laws taking effect in Texas. This legislative push fulfills what he called bold promises to the people of Texas and includes significant changes to the K-12 education landscape. Key education-related bills include the new school choice program under Senate Bill No. 2, which introduces a $1 billion education savings account for eligible students, making it the largest day one launch in the country. In a separate move, House Bill No. 2 allocates a record $8.5 billion in new funding for public education and $4 billion for teacher and staff pay raises. The new laws also address curriculum and parental rights, requiring the display of the Ten Commandments in classrooms and strengthening parents' rights by giving them increased oversight of school libraries and school board content approval powers. A new analysis by the pro-school choice advocacy group EdChoice found that participation in private school choice programs has increased by 25% in a single year, from just over 1 million students in 2024 to 1.3 million this year. This marks the largest year-to-year increase since the organization began tracking data in 2000. The rapid growth is attributed to more states expanding these programs to all students, regardless of family income levels. The largest participation gains are seen in education savings accounts, which are savings accounts funded from taxpayer dollars that parents can use for various educational purposes. Public school advocates oppose these programs, saying that taxpayer funding should be directed to public schools that must educate all students. They also raise concerns that private schools can be selective, turning away students with more intensive needs and lacking transparency and accountability. A 2024 EdChoice survey of 2,319 parents shows that 60% of respondents would rather choose a private, charter, or homeschool option. The Arizona Department of Education recently scored a victory as 2 individuals were convicted for misusing funds from the Empowerment Scholarship Account program. State Superintendent Tom Horn highlighted the department's efforts in identifying and addressing the waste, which included improper purchases like dune buggies and golf simulators. Horn expressed frustration with the Attorney General, Chris Mays, who he said made mindless and false charges about his management of the funds. A new report highlights that Illinois is among 18 states that have killed their tax credit scholarships for low-income students. However, a new federal law called the Educational Choice for Children Act offers a way for the state to regain that advantage. The ECCA provides a federal tax credit to individuals who contribute to scholarship-granting organizations. The act could bring meaningful relief to Illinois parents and allow students to access scholarships that could be used for tuition, tutoring, or other education-related expenses. Illinois must opt into the program to allow for students to access these funds. Rejecting the program would hurt education in Illinois, as donated dollars would flow elsewhere. A lawsuit challenging Wyoming's Universal School Voucher Program, the Steamboat Legacy Scholarship Act, was recently allowed to proceed after a judge denied the state's motion to dismiss the case. More school districts are grappling with insolvency, a problem exacerbated by the end of federal pandemic aid. Districts that spend this aid on recurring expenses or failed to scale back their budgets are now facing financial monitoring and, in some cases, state takeovers. Other factors like declining enrollment are also constraining district finances. The K-12 sector has faced a negative financial outlook since at least last year, according to multiple analyses by Moody's Ratings. Tight budgets were expected to ease up around the 2025-26 school year, but that hasn't been the case everywhere, with more districts in California, Washington, Missouri, and West Virginia continuing to face insolvency. A new report highlights that enrollment drops are continuing, which is part of a broader nationwide trend. In Florida, the Duval County School Board is now voting on negotiating contracts to sell its headquarters. This decision is driven by the financial pressures from declining enrollment. The Duval County Public School District has seen a steady decrease in student population over the past few years. Amidst nationwide teacher shortages, a new report from the National Center for Education Statistics reveals that retaining teachers is a top priority for school districts. The report found that a majority of school leaders are actively working on strategies to keep their best teachers, including increasing pay, providing more professional development, and offering mentorship programs. The NCES data shows that the number of teachers leaving the profession has been on the rise since the pandemic. This trend is particularly pronounced in high-poverty schools. A new study challenges the notion that private schools are academically superior to public ones. A report from the Center for Education Policy Research at Harvard University found that while private schools often report higher raw test scores, this advantage largely disappears when adjustments are made for demographic differences, like socioeconomic status. The study concludes that a student's background, not their school type, is the strongest predictor of performance. The research, which followed a cohort of students from kindergarten through high school, suggests that the private school advantage is largely a myth. The long shadow of the pandemic continues to affect student learning, with the new report showing a persistent decline in academic performance. Students are still lagging, especially in reading and math, however, and the learning gap has widened for students with disabilities and low-income students. To address these shortfalls, experts suggest providing targeted tutoring. A new study from the National Bureau of Economic Research highlights the effectiveness of tutoring as a tool for improving academic performance. The report found that high-dosage tutoring programs, which involve frequent and sustained one-on-one or small group instruction, can significantly boost student achievement. The study's authors note that while tutoring is an effective intervention, it is often underutilized and can be costly to implement on a large scale. A new report from the Association for Career and Technical Education highlights the importance of career and technical education in schools, stating that it can help students develop the skills that they need to be successful in the workforce. The report notes that CTE programs can lead to higher graduation rates and increased earning potential for students as well. The ACTE recommends that schools and districts invest more in CTE programs to prepare students for the demands of a changing economy. A new report from the National Endowment for the Arts highlights the importance of arts and music education, noting that they are critical for student development despite facing challenges like lack of funding. The report found that students who participate in the arts and music education have higher academic achievement and are more likely to be civically engaged. A new coalition of churches and education advocates has launched the Texas Microschools Collective, a faith-based initiative that leaders say draws inspiration from the historic efforts of Booker T. Washington and Julius Rosenwald to expand school access for African American students. The group, which includes the Black Mothers Forum of Arizona, plans to plan, plant, and promote microschools across Texas, anchored in churches and in community spaces. A recent survey found that nearly 70% of African American Texans supported universal school choice, a level of support that leaders argue reflects a long-standing tradition of educational self-determination. The microschool movement continues to grow, offering families a flexible alternative to traditional schooling. According to Don Seufer of the National Microschooling Center, between 1 million and 2 million students now attend microschools nationwide. Primer, a company leading the movement in Florida, describes itself as a blend between private school and homeschooling. In fact, one parent, Jennifer Puig, shared that the smaller class sizes and hands-on approach have helped her daughter to thrive after struggling for years in a larger public school. The company now has 10 schools in Florida and plans to add 4 more by the end of next school year. For this week's Microschool Showcase, we want to spotlight Bloom Learning Academy. This microschool has piqued national interest thanks to its tailored educational approach that caters to individual student needs. The school's unique environment, where students are grouped by skill rather than age, offers a personalized learning experience that traditional classrooms often lack. If you know of a microschool or organization that deserves a shout-out, drop a line and let us know. Thank you for tuning in to the Microschool Minute, your weekly review of microschooling news and events. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to support us, consider leaving a review. Until next week, happy microschooling.